Tonight, the return of the urn. The Ashes are finally back in our hands.
After 4 long years, the most famous trophy in world cricket returns to Australia.
Tiger moth victims recovered. The cause of the crash remains a mystery. Budget shambles, higher taxes and widespread spending cuts likely as we face one of our worst deficits ever. And League's first major casualty of the supplement scandal, the Sharks savage for putting their players in danger.
This is 10 Eyewitness News with Josh Holt.
Good evening and welcome to 10 Eyewitness News. First tonight, the Ashes are finally back in Australian hands. After 4 disappointing years, our cricketers have regained their sport's most prized trophy. Let's go to Lockie Reed in Perth where it all happened, and Lockie, the party's already started. Thanks, Lockie Reed at the Wacker. Police divers have recovered the victims of the Gold Coast tiger moth tragedy. The pilot and his French passenger were killed when the aerobatic plane plunged into the ocean. Jared Brevy joins us now. And Jared, have the families been informed?
Now, the plane wreckage will remain on the ocean floor until initial investigations are carried out. We're told it could be dragged up, though, before the end of the week. It'll then be taken to a workshop where investigators will try to work out how this tragedy happened. Josh.
Thanks, Jared Brevy on the Gold Coast. The Attorney-General is considering an appeal against reduced sentences for 3 bikies who were jailed and refused to give evidence to the CMC. The judge slashed the men's jail time to compensate for conditions he described as extremely harsh. Tegan George has more.
Justice Applegarth noted that any substantial period in solitary confinement carries a high risk of causing serious psychological damage to offenders, which would endure after their release.
Tegan George, 10 Eyewitness News.
The Queensland Ombudsman has found systemic failures in the liquor licensing checks for pubs and clubs. State political editor Kathy Border discovered some checks were even done when venues were closed.
What happened next beggars belief. The compliance officers went to the hotel at 7:30 p.m. to check. The hotel was closed. They checked again 2 months later. Again, it was closed. There was a phone call to management. The final result, a letter to the licensee reminding them of their obligations. Kathy Border, 10 Eyewitness News.
Higher taxes and savage spending cuts seem inevitable after the Treasurer revealed that Canberra's books are in a mess. The federal budget is barrelling towards one of the worst deficits in our history. Ursula Hager joins us from Canberra. And Ursula, what's Joe Hockey got in store for us?
Now, exactly what is in the firing line will become clear when the Commission of Audit hands back their report to the government early next year, ahead of what's almost certain to now be a horror May budget. Thanks,
Ursula Hager in Canberra. SEQ Water is confident it won't need any flood releases from its dams this summer. The Weather Bureau is predicting a warmer and drier summer than the previous 2 years, and the prospect of a major flood event appears unlikely. A near-average cyclone season is expected, and there is always the potential for a drenching similar to the one we saw with ex-tropical cyclone Oswald, which caused havoc last January. After closing 6 schools on Friday, the Newman government has announced the construction of 10 new ones across the southeast. Over the next 5 years, 8 primary schools will open in Pimpama, Pollara, Ripley Valley, Springfield, Griffin, Redbank Plains and Caboolture, which gets 2. 2 high schools will be built in Burpengary and Bellbird Park. The Treasurer wouldn't reveal how much the private deal will cost. A wounded police officer who survived a nightclub stabbing has made a vow to get back on the beat. That's just ahead. Also, the holiday destination to die for. Why Sunshine Coast lifesavers want people to stay out of the water. And the building boom, putting Gold Coast construction on the rise.
Good
afternoon from the Hyundai traffic helicopter. An accident just clearing up the Leroyd Road at Case Ridge. However, the detours, of course, pretty big delays coming up Beatty Road past the Archerfield Aerodrome. About 7 or 8 k's of traffic pushing up from Grenard Road, so one to avoid there, of course. It's causing massive delays past that aerodrome. We've also got the Bon Jovi concert on at Suncorp Stadium, so of course lots of pedestrians are moving around. Coming in from the train stations across Milton Road, of course, getting up to Suncorp. There are parking restrictions and delays for most of the majors around the Suncorp Stadium as well. We'll update you shortly. Josh, it's back to you.
Thank you, Jay. See you soon. A police officer who was stabbed while patrolling a Townsville strip club says he's keen to get back on the beat. Senior Constable Luke Weeks was wounded in the neck in the early hours of Saturday morning. He also suffered a punctured lung and cuts to his arm and hand. A 28-year-old suspended bouncer has been charged with attempted murder. An overnight fire has put a dampener on Christmas for a Brisbane man who's on holidays. 20 firefighters were called to his Manly home to find the building ablaze. They fought hard to contain the flames but couldn't save much. The Ipswich Mayor delivers a festive feast for free. We reveal what's on the menu next. Also, public tours of Boggo Road granted a reprieve as developers decide the jail's future. And surely not, the Spin King and Liz Hurley reported to have caught its stumps.
Tonight we've won the Ashes, so no need to watch Channel 9 ever again. What's the project?
And a dream comes true for an 11-year-old boy with cancer.
Thanks, guys. Boggo Road Jail will remain open to the public for another year as developers decide its future. The government says it will stay open for tourists, but as Jonathan Lee reports, it's unclear how much they'll be able to see. Thousands of Queenslanders are dreaming about how they'll spend $70 million this Christmas if they win tonight's Oz Lotto jackpot. News agencies have been inundated with punters wanting to be in it to win it. It's estimated 4.4 million tickets have been sold nationwide. And that's certainly a lot of money. It's time for sport now with Rob. And Rob, that little urn is certainly back where it belongs.
It's as if the world has righted itself, Josh.
That's right.
Good evening. Coming up, long-suffering Australian cricket fans finally have something to celebrate. With the Ashes safely stuffed in the Christmas stocking, attention now turns to a possible series sweep. And can Cronulla survive after the NRL comes down hard on the embattled club?
It's now time for an early check of the weather, and Duane, it was a partly cloudy day with some light showers around the southeast.
That's exactly right, Josh. We are seeing onshore winds through to the southeast coastline. Where we did see most of the showers was around the Sunshine Coast. Maryborough picked up around 9 millimetres of rain since 9 a.m. this morning. You can see these cells just moving onshore, but around the Brisbane Metropolitan Basin, we haven't seen too much rain. Now, as we have a look around the southeast today, we did see temperatures a little bit below average. Brisbane, 28 degrees, which is 2 degrees below average, and same for Redcliffe, which is 2 below. It does look like we'll see some partly cloudy conditions over the next couple of days. I'll have the full forecast at 5 to 6, including the run into Christmas.
Thanks, Duane. See you soon. But that's 10 Eyewitness News for now. I'll be back tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Good night.